And you definitely called Raijin with that late game potential, dishing out so much damage, but I mean, we may see in the next game, we may not. Picks and bans are ready for game 2 of Rival versus eXcellence.
Don't expect to see a whole lot different for Rival. I probably wouldn't put Dvizes on Giannis again. Maybe that's his most comfortable mid lane god. I mean, we saw him be a jungler most of the time last split. He was the one subbing for Proxy QQ on Retribution, and he looked really, really strong there. Specifically, his Naja was really, really excellent last split. Doesn't look quite as comfortable in the mid lane. I mean, it is a big transition. It's a completely different role. But I would try and put him on something else. Maybe a Neath, you know, who can't play Neath? It's one of the free gods that you get whenever you start the game, one of the more straightforward gods in the game. Just give him something that he can look a little bit more comfortable on, because that game got very difficult because Dvizes was unable to put out the damage that you need from a mid laner.
I mean, and even with the Neath, her ultimate brings a lot to the table, especially in the mid lane, because it's not going to have to travel as far. You're going to get less reaction time coming out with that travel. But bans coming out, no surprise to see Fafnir and Freya banned out from eXcellence, and Nemesis and Terra coming out from Rival, so no real spec bans coming out just yet, except from eXcellence.
It's about time that someone banned away Zenborne's Fafnir, because 9-0 in their last 9 games, and they've always picked Fafnir. Kuang does get locked in for Maloaise here, though. Let's see if he can make the impact that you need from the Kuang. A later game god than Susano. We saw him have a pretty good game there on Susano, but overall a different sort of style from Kuang, much more assassin-like, much more execute-heavy. Let's see if he can bring what you need whenever you're first picking a god like Kuang.
And with that execute, if you're not familiar with Kuang, since we don't get to see him that often, it doesn't matter how tanky you are. If you are within that execute threshold, you are going to die if that hits you, no matter what. Sol and Susano locked in for Team Rival.
And you see Kuang's a lot of time going for solo laners and supports because they won't have the purification or the sanctuary that you need in order to survive that execute. And it's below 30%. As soon as you go below 30% HP, you're going to get tossed up into the air by that dragon, gobbled up, and it allows Kuang to heal, wait for his cooldowns to come back up, and then reinitiate wherever he chooses on the map, basically. It's a huge global ultimate, but there are some requirements. It's not as easy as, you know, pressing Y on Thor and going up into the air.
Exactly, but Sun Wukong picked up for more than likely the solo lane, and Zeus for the mid lane coming out from eXcellence. We haven't seen too much Zeus, but he had a huge resurgence coming out in the first couple of weeks.
Zeus is an interesting pick here, just because if this Soul is in the middle lane, the poke potential out of Rival is extreme. I mean, these are the two premier poke gods in the meta right now, Soul and Susano, and Zeus has no way to get away from the poke and no way to sustain from the poke, so he needs to be extremely careful with his positioning if that is Soul in the middle lane. Guan Yu locked in for Rival. They don't want to take any poke from Zeus or Sun Wukong. Both of those gods excel at poke as well, and Guan Yu going to be able to top them off with the conviction, just able to sustain these team fights really, really long. The longer the team fight goes, the better it is for Rival.
There are lots of flex picks coming out from Rival. Sol can go as the ADC or the mid. Guan Yu can go solo or support, but Geb and Odin banned out, especially that Odin. Picking up that Guan Yu last leaves eXcellence. They have no choice. They can't stop that healing, especially in the Odin cage.
Good ban coming out from Rival. Definitely one of the picks that shuts down Guan Yu extremely well. And the other two that come to mind are Serket and Osiris, and neither of those can be picked because they've already picked their solo laner and their jungler. So now this healing from Guan Yu going to be a definite problem for eXcellence. I like the Vamana ban there. We've seen Gnome play nothing but Sun Wukong and Robin basically coming in here, but then he had such a great game on Vamana, showing that he can basically play whatever you let him. And here's the Robin. I mean,
you can't ban out his entire god pool and still let Fafnir through, still let Freya through. So instead, Robin gonna get picked up, and we've seen Gnome on it, and it's been pretty catastrophic.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't. I mean, Gnome was second on the damage charts that
entire game. Pick your lesser evil.
Exactly, and you may as well say, okay, he's in the zone as Vamana. I know he plays Robin all the time. Maybe he's not as comfortable today on Robin. That's your best hope if you're eXcellence, is that Gnome it wasn't really feeling Robin today.
Cross your fingers, but Kumbhakarna picked up for eXcellence. I love the potential coming out. Kuang knowing exactly where they're going to come down after the epic uppercut. Zeus going to be able to throw down the storm right after the epic uppercut.
And the persistent gust from Jing going to be waiting for whoever goes on that epic uppercut. Epic uppercut. That works too. uppercut. It's going to be really, really devastating because you come down directly into a knockup. All of your actives and relics are completely useless at that point. Normally when you see Kumbhakarna, I like to see much more of a big long-range burst, something like a Raw ult, a Scylla ult, even Poseidon, something along those lines that can synergize extremely well with that epic uppercut. But the Persistent Gust works very well in addition to that.
That's a Cupid.
Yeah, Cupid's good, man.
No, I love Cupid.
Now this is not on the patch that
This
Cupid
is not
has been
OP.
buffed.
This is not OP Cupid patch.
This is not the patch where Cupid has been buffed, so that you are going to be consuming your passive stacks whenever you use your hearts. You are going to be getting your attack speed from using your flutter, not just leveling it up. And the heart bomb not going to have the increased radius, but you will still have the stun on Fields of Love whenever you use it with all of your 8 stacks on your passive. So we'll have to see how Atonement's able to do. It's a completely interesting pick because you're going from late game, let me just get to 25 minutes and carry my brains out, Freya, to I'm going to kill you in lane as often as possible, Cupid. We'll see how he can deal with this sort of transition. However, we've seen Atonement on characters like Anhur a lot, where Anhur is the same sort of style as Cupid, wants to fight you in lane and get his lead there. We'll see if Atonement can transition that to the Lover Boy.
All right, so we're going to talk about what's really important here. How do you feel about the Manticore word? Because now there's one on the field.
It's literally not even close to Boxcat word.
Really?
Like B tier.
No, Manticore is absolutely
Boxcat word is
adorable.
SS tier.
Get out. Get out.
I
I'll
mean-
solo cast this.
Cool cats in the chat.
Cool cats. There we go. Standard start coming through. I know you were kind of... Hold on. We've seen this before. What is that on Zeus?
That is Uncommon Sash, and I like it. I like it here because, so it recently got changed, not even that recently, I guess, but that's only 1,350 gold. So you got room for 3 pots to buy. Yes, you don't have the 800 gold starter item to kind of help get your bang for your buck, if you will, but if you're going to go Warlock Sash, you should really be rushing Uncommon Sash, in my opinion, because he's going to get this, be able to start stacking this up so much earlier than if he had just gone for Boot Start and then into the Warlock Sash. If you're doing that, you're not finishing your Warlock Sash until 11 or 12 minutes. Here, he'll be finishing it like 5 or 6 minutes probably, if not a little earlier than that. So he's going to be able to stack a lot earlier. And 50-meter Fly clearly has no problems going without boots in the early game. He was rushing Book of Thoth last game, got his boots second, wasn't able to get them until third.
Rapio taking a lot of damage. Fly not letting him go. He was one hit away.
Okay, if he had Soulstone.
If he had Soulstone, that would have been a kill.
Yeah, feels bad. But he still gets Warlock Sash super early.
He's going to be really defensive.
Yeah, I mean,
especially early on.
It definitely does take a lot of time to stack up Warlock Sash, and the stacks are so much more important than they are on an item like Book of Thoth. They only give you a little bit more power on Book of Thoth, whereas on Warlock Sash, they're giving you the majority of the power of the item, as well as the extra health and mana. So really, really important to get those stacked up. So like I mentioned, if you're gonna go it, you may as well rush the Uncommon Sash because you have enough pots to sustain yourself in lane with that recent change to 1350 gold.
I forget how slow gods are when they don't have boots. I'm just watching Zeus slug through this jungle, but they were able to make the rotation up to the back camps. eXcellence able to snag one from Team Rival. Rival going to be able to take their own. And eXcellence had a strong start too, going for the Fire Imps as well as the right mid Harpies. But Rapio starting off strong with the rotation, going to be able to find Predators for the first blood.
So Rapio,
2 minutes and 15 seconds in.
Rapio almost gets first blooded and then heals up using some pots and the sustain from Bumbas killing jungle camps, and then comes over and kills Predators on that right-hand side. And this is not good for eXcellence because now you've given Gnome a lead on Raven. Your entire right side jungle is now on watch. It's all going to be in trouble. Gnome, very, very good, much like Wolves on the NA side, of invading your right side jungle when he gets ahead and making sure that his presence is known, and his presence is Gnome. I don't even remember what I was saying. I just had to say that instead.
It's all right. You had the best workup towards it, so that's
making sure his presence is Gnome.
absolutely legit. There's 3 members on the side of Team Rival. On the left side, however, want to go ahead and start trying to put the pressure for eXcellence.
And this is what you need to do, trying to just get some pressure back on your side. Using that left-hand side, was trying to get them some pressure, but Rapio recognizes that and immediately rotates over to make sure that they have pressure in almost every lane. However, this is going to open up his own speed buff to Maloaise. Great recognition from him, immediately going for Rapio's speed buff as soon as he's called out on the left-hand side. I get the idea from Rapio, like I mentioned, it's trying to alleviate that pressure and make sure that you have pressure across all lanes, but that wasn't the time to do it. Now that lead that Gnome got, those buffs on the right-hand side aren't going to be as effective because you've lost your buffs on the right-hand side.
Very nice call coming out from Maloaise. The rotation's coming through a little bit different than what we saw last game, and it's all contingent on what happens. I mean, normally you wouldn't see that this early on unless something happened. We saw that huge rotation over to the left, like you mentioned, that opened up the right side of the map, especially with that kill as soon as he fell.
It did, and that was that's the advantage of going somewhere where you're not where you usually aren't. When you're usually farming back camps, all of a sudden you're ganking the solo lane. It can give you those sorts of leads, but this lead for Rival is completely gone now. There was no invade on this right-hand side.
Nope.
That 300 gold bounty for getting first blood completely negated, and it's eXcellence who have the 500 gold lead right now because they were the ones invading on the right side. A rare miscue from Rival, looking unlike themselves. It's unlike Rapio to make that rotation at the wrong time to that left-hand side.
I mean, and when it comes to the junglers, they set the pace of the game. With this rotation off, how is that going to affect him coming into the later stages?
Once we get into the team fighting stage, it's not going to be a huge deal. It really is just these first few buffs respawning that kind of dictates where the jungler is going to be and how much their route affects the early part of the game. But once we get into the team fighting stage, all it takes is 2 or 3 kills. Everyone else has to back or give up the buffs, and then you can invade and kind of reset the whole schedule, if you will.
And it's nice to have that timer though, because he's gonna want to try to go out of his way just to make sure that little bit of experience can be his again. Because you saw how much of an impact that made early game. Keeping Rapio from that farm is paramount.
And he just now hitting level 7. Maloaise has the level advantage right now. But Rival is going to be able to pick up these fire elementals, but they are 4-way splitting them, so significantly less golden experience. Those that already don't give a whole lot of golden experience, and 4-way splitting them makes them even less worth.
Kumbhakarna already rotating back over. We're starting to see these 3v3s in the mid lane, except right now, it's only a 1v3, which means no fight. Fly gonna be very careful, especially on the Zeus. He has no way to escape. He can dish out some damage, and he's got that Warlock Sash to help kind of sustain him for a little bit.
He does. So he's got that extra HP, so he's not as worried about getting bursted down. The pickup from the Uncommon Sash, like I mentioned, if you're going to be building Warlock Sash, probably the right call. Whether or not building Warlock Sash at all is the right call is another matter entirely. And Mr. Turtle just stole all of 50-meter fly stacks, and I would be tilted off the face of the planet. I need 100 of those. Stop clearing my wave. I'm right there.
He only got 2 out of that because he had 8 when we first started. But Gold Fury going to start to get warded. How come we're not seeing as much action as we saw last game?
It's a little bit surprising that we aren't seeing quite as much, just because we do have this aggressive dual lane in Cupid, Guan, but we do have a Soul in the middle lane for Rival, a little bit less aggressive than Giannis can afford to be early. Definitely takes her a little bit more farm to become the kind of big burst damage character that you get picked for. Now Zenborne pulls a Gold Fury, but already gets 2 stacks on him, rooted in place by Mr. Turtle, forces the cavalry charge right away. That's a big cooldown down for Team eXcellence. Now they're going to be able to look at that Gold Fury without the fear of Guan Yu coming charging in with that horse.
That was huge for them. That was absolutely huge. They lost nothing for that. They forced out Zenborne's ultimate, and essentially, the last thing you want is Zenborne to get fed, especially on the Guan Yu. That sustain just coming out that much quicker would be really bad for the rest of the team. But Gnome, Mystic rushing through, wants to go ahead and try to lock down Fly as best he can. Gonna be able to jump out of the damage. Meanwhile, Epic Uppercut gonna have him crashing down. Turtle gonna get back to the safety of his tower, and this Storm was set not only for damage, but zoning.
Gnome went in 1v3, but just level 10, using that lead that he got from that gank on the right-hand side to his advantage. And we said that Atonement was going to be the one pushing down this left-hand side and looking to solo Jing, but it's Farleez on this Jing, looking extremely comfortable, and we've seen him on this god before, and he looked excellent on it. No surprise to see him doing the same here today.
eXcellence looking very comfortable right now, looking at this Gold Fury as well. Predators birding in to go ahead and try and take it out quickly. and that's exactly what they do. As soon as it gets down to that threshold, Kumba pops the Wrath, which is going to be able to just automatically claim that victory. So 900 gold in favor of the boys in blue, and only about 500 experience, but it's a start.
Definitely a great start for eXcellence. Their team comp is much more geared towards the later stages of the game. They have Kuang, they have Jing, so and they have Zeus as well. So definitely they're willing to get to late game against the composition that Rival has. Rival has a lot more early to mid game gods. Cupid, early to mid. Rapio on Susano, mid game really. Gnome, early to mid. Guan Yu does excel better in the later game once he gets the items and cooldown that he needs to be able to make those heals the most effective, but in Soul, a later game god as well. So Rival does have some late game available to them, but overall the team comp definitely favors eXcellence as the game goes later and later.
So what can Rival do? Like, I know you like to talk about what these comps are meant for when it comes to the overall strategy of the game. What is Rival's thoughts? Hold on one second. Predator's getting a little bit aggressive, but gonna go ahead and back off.
They want to poke you down. They want to make it so they, you're taking about half of your health and poke damage from Stellar Burst and Stormkata, and then they want to reset. And they just want to back up. They want to heal up any poke that they took in return using that Guan Yu Conviction, and then they want to re-engage. Or they do have the 100-0 potential, but not as much as eXcellence do.
Fields of Love gonna catch Farleez out once again after getting Heart Bombed. Atonement doing work with this Cupid.
Just not enough damage though. I mean, that was the full combo that you're dreaming of if you're Cupid, and it only took Farleez to a little bit under half health. Not the damage that you need as Cupid quite yet. Once he finishes off those boots and stops stacking that Transcendence, he'll be in a better spot. But Farleez went for this Ichaival, which prevents Cupid from being able to 100-0 him basically because you're taking away power from the enemy ADC as you're hitting them with your auto attacks and adding it to your own power. So it's really a double swing of the power leaving their build and going into yours. So Cupid, I'm surprised to see him not go. He should basically be going for the Ichaival next item, just so that it's an even trade, so that he's not automatically at a disadvantage every time he wants to fight Farleez.
He wants to keep the playing field even, but 9 minutes, 55 seconds in. Only one kill on the board currently in favor of Team Rival. However, gold looking a little bit favorable for eXcellence. Predators wanted to take this speed buff. Maloaise was poised as well to try and take it out. Lots of damage coming on to the soul. Epic uppercut coming up, coming down, and Maloaise gonna get credit for the kill, but now trying to keep himself alive, using that ultimate just to knock them up in the air long enough to get away, but not gonna save him for long. Rapio coming in for the kill.
Now looking at the very tanky 50-meter fly. Gets the double hog stun though. Gnome gonna pick him up. Now Mr. Turtle's in trouble. Atonement is here trying to pick him up, but he's not gonna be able to. A 2-for-1 there. Dvizes falls at the beginning of the fight, but then 50-meter fly and Maloaise picked up for Rival, and now they're looking at this tier 1 tower in the mid lane. Not gonna have enough damage to get it here, so they're gonna look at these right-hand buffs, trying to steal away more and more farm from eXcellence.
And Rival, they wanted to make that a one and done. They wanted to back off, and instead eXcellence say no. Not only is this the first time that we've had some action, this is the first opportunity to make Rival bleed. They take out Dvizes. Even though they lost 2 in the process, you're still starting to dethrone the Titan.
That's true, but you're kind of throwing away the lead that you would earn for yourself. That speed buff invade, a little bit risky, and they just use so much to kill Dvizes. The Kumbha ultimate, the Zeus ultimate, just a little bit too much committed to finish off that soul. Whereas forcing that soul out of the fight is basically the same. Yeah, you don't get the golden experience, but then you don't have to commit as much, and then you could probably win the fight on top of that. So a little bit extra committed. Turtle, please stop clearing 50-meter flies waves. I'm begging you for his sake. He needs the stacks. It's hurting my soul.
I see you cringing in the chair. You have your head in your hands. It's bothering you so much.
Like, please, it takes so many stacks. He could be at 60+ stacks right now, but sitting only at 41. Heck, 50-meter fly could have lived in that last fight if he had 20 extra stacks, but instead, Mr. Turtle has to use that big fat belly of his and clear the wave. Is he gonna do it again? Not this time, my man.
Not
He's
this
learning.
time. It's like they hear you. It's like they know what you're raging about right now. But I'm looking at Team Rival's comp, and every single person has a way to keep themselves out of danger. They have a way to get out of these fights. They're so hard to just pin down.
They definitely are. Zeus is the only one really in the game right now that doesn't have some sort of escape that would allow him to get away from any sort of aggression on either side. But the mobility overall favoring Team Rival, though Jingwei's mobility is unbelievable, and we see the power farming capability coming out of him, using that passive to back as often as possible and pick up those back camps and be wherever he needs to be, basically sitting a full level above Atonement right now and almost 1,000 gold, sitting at 800 gold up in that duo lane.
Gold Fury going to be the next point of contention here in a little bit. We're still seeing the Gold Fury word fight. Even throughout these other fights on the other side, we still see people come over, switch out the wards. They want that vision because that's going to help either get Rival further in the lead or eXcellence to try to maintain and see the same thing that we saw last game. But right now, Predator's not in any real danger of dying. Neither is Turtle. However, the Soul back up in the air with the epic uppercut. Nobody there to help follow up, however, because they're fighting back against Rapio. Nice beautiful three-man knockup with the Typhoon. Fly just trying to do anything he can, trying to get himself away, but it's not going to matter. Predator's able to find a kill, but 2 men of eXcellence are down now, and Predator's forced into the somersault cloud.
I've seen this before. 2 members for Dvizes on the side of Rival. Now Gnome going in, trying to pick up Farleez, does force the ultimate away, and now Predators looks like he's going to be able to get out of this fight. Okay, no, a great pull from Rapio, going to put him very, very low. Not quite enough damage to finish him off, but again, just doing whatever they can to shut down Dvizes, but in the process, losing their 2 main damage dealers, Kuang and Zeus. That's both of their second deaths, the exact same scenario.
And because of that, the Gold Fury is wide open. But as you see, Turtle is here, and Turtle does have a Wrath. He wants to try and bide his time, stay alive long enough just to steal this from the team or make them unleash it. Gonna be a nice mez. And then with the Sun Wukong here, they're trying to take down Atonement. He's got the cudgel here in a second, maybe dish out the damage, but Atonement able to heal himself back up. Farleez forced to use that Sanctuary in the backline, and now they stopped Rival from taking the Gold Fury.
Nice job by Turtle. Mr. Turtle just getting in there, like you mentioned, had that Wrath. Oh, hold that thought. Dvizes getting bursted down, forced to use a Sanctuary. He picks up the hearts to try and get it away. He's going to go into the Disapparate. I don't know if he's going to be able to live after this damage from Predators coming out. No, there he goes.
There it is.
All of the Supernova shots completely off the mark. Predators may be able to pick up Atonement here even.
They might be able to indeed. Predators able to find it, found the Thwap onto one, found Atonement with the other. Turtle now chasing down Gnome. There's nothing Turtle can do to Gnome, but keeping Gnome away from this fight is huge. Predators, however, going to meet him in the lane, get taken out. Maloaise the same as well. That's very unfortunate.
The easiest double kill of Gnome's life.
Exactly.
Right there. 2 people just walking right into him with no HP whatsoever. Now Gnome sitting 4-0-3, but only about 100 gold up on Predators, even though Predators does have those 2 deaths. Predators, another great game coming out of the solo lane.
Fly getting pulled back, use that Sanctuary very early because Rapio is here, throws down the cloud, or throws down the storm just to keep them away. The lightning going to be enough to make Team Rival turn around.
That's huge for Rival because they just got the Sanctuary and the ultimate out of that Zeus, and so now he's going to be even more vulnerable despite his tanky build that he's going for.
He's going to be even more of a sitting duck than he already is. Farleez is sitting over here in the backline. Turtle as well. Turtle still has the Wrath available. Farleez can't do anything but possibly airstrike if she wants to come in with the ultimate, but the Fields of Love, a fantastic zoning tool, goes ahead and pops him, but that's going to be the Gold Fury once again.
Rival able to secure that away just in time. Mr. Turtle tried to go in there and get it, just wasn't able to do so, and now Farleez is going to be able to have to use that airstrike to get away from Gnome, just doing his best to stay on top of all of these damage dealers on the side of eXcellence.
I mean, Team Rival started it, they were able to finish it. Maloaise taking the speed camp as well. Every little bit counts. He wants to go ahead and try to starve Team Rival out as much as possible. They've got a little bit of a gold lead coming out from Rival, but eXcellence, they can still, I mean, there's no way they're still not in this. The numbers are still very small, especially for 16 minutes.
Without a doubt, and again, they do have the later game team comp, so they do have that ability to just turn it around, even if they're a little bit behind. Once Kuang gets another 2 items online, that's when he's almost at his most effective. Yeah, he'll have 2 items to go still, or an item to go still, but once he gets Obsidian Shard and most likely Soul Reaver, that's the usual meta build for Kuang's in the jungle right now. I expect to see him doing a ton of damage no matter how far behind eXcellence is.
How is Rival's late game and sustainability going to go when there's only 1 pair of Reinforced Greaves on the map?
It's going to still be okay. I am surprised to see only 1 player of Reinforced Greaves, specifically no Greaves on Gnome. Electing to go for that Warrior Tabi. We've seen almost every single solo laner elect for this tankier option with it being available to them. But Gnome, I guess, maybe because he got that early assist in the solo lane, was trying to push it, push that advantage, just do more damage going for the Warrior Tabi. But like you mentioned, the side of eXcellence, significantly tankier. They've got 3 sets of reinforced Greaves available to them, and this Zeus
it might not be working well for Gnome. Predator's able to take him out, just leash him in between all of the creep. There's nothing he really could have done there.
No, it looks like there may have been.
Did he DC?
It looked like that was a possibility, yeah.
Okay.
So,
yeah, that was a DC.
A little bit unfortunate there, but again, a lot more tank boots on the side of eXcellence. So they're gonna Rival has to work a little bit harder to make sure that they can be bursted down. And because there aren't a whole lot of sets of tank boots on the side of Rival, this tanky Zeus is going to be even more effective because he doesn't have to punch through that armor that those reinforced boots give you. So the damage option that he kind of decided to go away from, going for that tankier build, is going to be even more effective because he doesn't need as much damage because they don't have the tankier boots.
Who else would have benefited though? Not only Gnome, but I thought the rule of thumb was just to not get them on your ADC.
That's been right around meta. I mean, I don't think I would have gotten them on Soul just because it takes her a little bit to get going, and you want that mid-game damage to be as effective as possible. Plus, Soul is pretty safe overall, having that disapparate and the heal built into your kit. You don't have to worry quite as much. So I would have liked to see it on Susano and Gnome in addition to Zenborne.
Had a gigantic 2-man rotation coming through. Now 4 people on the left side of the map. Meanwhile, Predators and Rapio just going crazy when it comes to this tier 2 tower. Rapio trying to get away. Predators diving very deep for the kill, able to find it, but gonna probably lose his life to Gnome in the process. But while all that was happening, that kept Gnome away from eXcellence taking down a tier 1 tower on the duo side.
And that's a tier 2 tower and a kill onto Rapio for Predators, now sitting on top of the damage charts, finishing off that Bulwark of Hope. So now the damage from Soul, it's starting to get online right around now. Finishing that Obsidian Shard is when it's going to start to get effective, but it's going to be less effective up against that Sun Wukong. Going to be able to keep diving the backline, doing whatever he wants.
And we saw a game a lot like this last time when it comes to eXcellence doing a very good job of keeping in. What can they do to not lose the game to Rival this time, not slip up?
Keep the farm going and pick the right fights. You don't want to be the wrong spot at the wrong time, and that would let Rival back into it. It's only going to take one bad fight for eXcellence, and it's going to be Rival's game entirely. The gold lead is basically negligible at this point, and there's a lot of gold left in the towers for Team Rival to take. I mean, there's one tier 2 tower gone for eXcellence, as well as 2 tier 1s, whereas on the side of Rival, they've only taken 1 tier 1 tower. So that's over 3,000 gold that eXcellence has just in towers that they've had over Rival. That's where their lead is really coming from.
And I mean, that'll be taken out as soon as they have a little bit more breathing room to stretch out, start taking these tower objectives, and then maybe look at the Phoenixes. But Gold Fury not going to be up for a couple of minutes now, and at this point, what can they do? There's not much on the board. They're just kind of wandering until an objective comes up.
That's basically what it is right now. With the Gold Fury being up so soon, it's just a ward positioning battle overall. And this is the time where the poke composition from Rival should be being used. There's the purification out of Farleez. That's perfect. Now gonna try and stun him out using that cavalry charge, but Atonement is just clearing the wave. Atonement's just standing there watching Zenborne go in on Farleez, and he didn't force a Sanctuary, you didn't force the ultimate, so that's 2 ultimates for the purification. Yeah, it's great that you got that purification, but you probably could have gotten more if you were on the same page. Rare miscue there from Zenborne and Atonement, 2 players that have been laning together since the beginning of the split.
So, because of that, I saw Zenborne not doing hardly any damage to Jingwei, and I noticed he's got 2 of these starter items. I mean, what is that for?
It's just efficiency. You want to be as tanky as possible for as little gold as possible, because as a support, you're not getting a whole lot of gold and experience, so you have to be as efficient as possible. Plus, you're buying a ton of wards for your team. That's really one of your main jobs, so you have to try and just make the most out of every purchase, and buying Mark of the Vanguard's second item just gives you some extra HP 5, as well as takes away 5 damage from every source of damage that you take. So if you're taking a ton of, you're getting hit by tons of spells, you're going to be mitigating a ton of that damage basically for free. He started off with the Watcher's Gift, obviously started with that in lane, and you're seeing a lot of supports do this. We see that Mr. Turtle has it on the side of eXcellence as well, going for that second starter item immediately after finishing the boots.
Yeah, I need to pay more attention to that because I haven't seen that often. And normally, if I tried that once in a game and I got flamed so hard because of it. But with this meta change, with these boots, it's all about sustain. It's all about staying in the game, and it's all about doing what you can even more as a support now that everybody survives even longer.
Again, it's all about gold efficiency. Nice ultimate from Atonement, gonna force out the Sanctuary from 50-meter fly, but he's taking a ton of damage. A 3-man pull from Rapio, but speaking of damage, Rapio's the one on the receiving end.
Yeah, Rapio just trying to get away at this point. He was taking so much. That was a big mistake for him. I don't think he realized how hard eXcellence hit.
And that's because that Book of Thoth now finished for 50-meter fly in the mid lane. All right, I was down with stacking one item. Double stacking is never the most efficient option. Going for penetration there would have been the better call for 50-meter fly, or going for a Pythagorum's Piece would have been a much stronger, just something besides delaying your power that long.
Zenborne charging through to stop eXcellence from taking the gold Fury, or at least attempting to do so. Even that ultimate is now down, able to find the little bit of damage and the stun onto Turtle, and this opens up Rival to be able to try and get some little bit of aggression in the meantime.
The meditation gonna try and get everyone healthy on the side of eXcellence. A little bit of poke damage coming out onto Maloaise and Mr. Turtle. The ultimates are available now for Atonement. There's the dive in. Gnome immediately popped up by the epic uppercut, but it's all Predators on the backhand side.
Predator's gonna get pulled back between 4 members of the team. Gnome just trying to zone out 3. Maloaise, Fly, Turtle, now Farleez. They're gonna back off. Somersault Cloud has been good. Gonna find a little bit of a knockup with the agility, or with the gust coming out from Zenborne. Maloaise able to find the Soul. Soul is now down. No mid laner, no gigantic damage, no stellar burst. Zenborne barely getting out by the skin of his teeth.
1 HP, but now it's just Gnome all alone. Atonement and Rapio so poked out, unable to really come in and help him. And again, Dvizes just bursted way before the fight even begins, still not being effective on this Soul. A different pick in the mid lane, but it's the same story, still sitting at the bottom of the damage charts.
And Dvizes, he just keeps continuously getting picked on. Maloaise stuck in the fields of love, forced to use the purification to get out, but Predator's gonna be able to take out Rapio for the trouble. eXcellence getting out of dodge at this point. Atonement is still nearby, but there's not much you can do, especially since you just popped this ultimate. But as soon as they start the Gold Fury, Gnome comes right back in, being obnoxious as usual.
Just doing whatever he can to keep eXcellence off the Gold Fury. Now Zenborne dashing in, trying to keep him healthy. Predators around the backside still extremely low, hasn't backed from that last engagement. No meditation or ultimate available, so makes the wise choice of getting out of dodge.
That fight was so long. We saw Mystic Rush coming out from Robin. He got epic uppercutted down at the bottom of the Gold Fury, and then he just now used it again to get himself out of the fight over the wall. That's how long these fights are going.
Very, very extended, and it's mostly because the damage, it just hasn't been there consistently from anyone on Rival. I mean, it's Gnome on top, and then Rapio just underneath them, but outside of that, the next highest player is 5,000 damage behind, and there's just, and it's your ADC, and then you've got your support, and then your mid laner. The overall damage coming out of Rival just extremely low across the board. We see multiple members of eXcellence having significantly higher damage from their counterparts. We see Zeus has 10,000 more damage than his opposing mid laner right now.
I mean, which is still good for Zeus at this point, but Rival, we're not used to seeing this. Rival are always gung-ho, aggressive, out the door, looking for these picks, looking for the 1-for-0, 2-for-0 trades, so they don't get punished for it. But it's a little bit of a different story this time. They've been really denied those big fights that usually get them in the lead.
And you can see what the loss of a character like Watson can do for you. Losing that sort of easy aggression that you have in the middle lane, and having that confidence with your mid-jungle synergy just makes it a lot harder to win games.
And they're still a very good team. It's just, like you said, it's harder because you're missing one of those big people. And Dvizes has some really good plays coming out, but because he's a sub, eXcellence focus him down so hard in the first game and the second one. 1, 4, and 3 stands Soul right now.
Now he's going to take a ton of poke there from the Chain Lightning. Did immune the Disapparate. Predators going in, but so is Gnome, looking to zone out all of the damage dealers on the side of eXcellence. There's the Field of Love. Maloaise in a little bit of trouble, able to blink out just in time. Typhoon completely off the mark from Rapio.
Typhoon comes through, not going to be able to rip through anybody though. Maloaise takes quite a bit of damage. 50-meter fly, can't get out of his own storm. Dvizes coming through with the Supernova. Now Maloaise forced into the backline in Team Rival. Here's a little bit of the aggression that they were looking for, the fight that they were looking for.
And it's all been Dvizes this fight. He's more than doubled his damage from one fight alone. In the previous 26 minutes, he just did 5,000 more damage than he had done the entire rest of the game. And you see what kind of impact that can have. Immediately deleting 50-meter fly. Mr. Turtle's going to go for this. He's looking for it, had the Wrath available, just a little bit too slow. Didn't get there in time.
He had it available, but he had absolutely no opportunity, especially since he was forced to go around the Gold Fury pit instead of come right back through. But Team Rival want to go ahead and continue their lead. The cudgel not going to be enough to dispatch the Harpies. Instead, Team Rival going to be able to secure those as well. But with that Gold Fury, it's still even. It's
now even. It was eXcellence who was in the lead. Yeah, you can see there over a 2,000 gold lead, and all of a sudden it's Rival right there with them, all evened up. And that late game team composition still not doing what you need it to do. We're hitting 27 minutes though. We've seen Kuang finish the Obsidian Shard, but now going into the Winged Blade, I would have much rather seen him go for Soul Reaver in that 5th slot. Yes, there are a lot of annoying slows on the side of Rival that you want to be able to basically ignore like you can with the passive from Wingblade. But overall, your job as Kuang is to murder people. And moving faster does help you get around a little bit better, but you want to do one rotation of skills and kill someone. It's like building cooldown on Kuang doesn't make any sense just because you don't need to be getting multiple rotations off of abilities in fights. You only need one. You need to make it count. And building this Wingblade doesn't help him do that much. I would much rather see him gone for the Soul Reaver for the one-shot potential on a character like Rapio, Atonement, or Dvizes.
Is the game style what maybe made him change that? Because in the first game we saw, if he had played Kuang, he definitely would have gone into that. That game was all about murder. This one, we're 28 minutes in, only 18 kills on the board.
I do think that it's just completely influenced by how many potent slows they have on the side of Rival. I mean, it does let him immune the Heart Bomb, the Fields of Love initial slow, the Stellar Burst slow, the slow from Zenborne's 2, and Gnome's Prana Onslaught, but and it's, I'm listing off ability after ability, but look at the damage that he could be doing if he had Soul Reaver there.
Well, no, he's doing quite a bit of damage right now. Dvizes getting absolutely chunked, able to not find it because he's going to get immediately melted by Rapio coming through with the Typhoon Predators, using the 72 transformations to try and get away, but Rapio able to go ahead and just port right to wherever he is with the Storm. Still trying to chase down, and second to be able to find himself back to the fountain.
If he had Soul Reaver there, Dvizes either has to blow Sanctuary or isn't able to get off the damage to kill him. Instead, because of the Wingblade, yeah, he was immune to slows, but didn't have enough damage to finish off Dvizes. And now it's been Farleez every time having to use that ultimate defensively, just trying to get away from Gnome. I'd like to see Turtle try and stick more with his Jing Wei to try and peel for her. Speaking of peel, Dvizes needs some of the back end, friends.
And at this point, not going to be able to find it. Now, a little bit of conviction, but you can see they're looking for that opportunity to come on down from the Somersault Cloud and find Dvizes in the backline. You saw it forced out the Disapparation. Predators get a little bit of damage from the Heart Bomb, running right back into 4 members of the team, using the Bull to knock out to try and get out, but at this point he's going to get chased and pinched so hard.
Predators, a big death there, his 4th death of the game. And
Why did he go in?
He's been such a big nuisance because he's been able to most of the game, but now that we're into the late game, more characters like Soul and Cupid are going to be hitting him significantly harder. That lead that he gets from being in the solo lane isn't as effective. Now the Typhoon going to be coming in. Looks like it's going to be completely off the mark. Didn't even hit Mr. Turtle. Gnome still zoning 2 members entirely by himself.
Yeah, but Sanctuary has been forced out back, and Farleez trying to get away. Rapio going to get credit for the kill. Instead, Fly using the Purification as well. He's got 2 members on him trying to get away. Maloaise forced to use the Water Illusion to try and blink out. He wants to take out Atonement so bad, but instead, he's going to get his life taken.
And now Gnome just zoning out Mr. Turtle, trying to make sure that Rival can go in and secure this Fire Giant for free. Mr. Turtle, again, still alive and still has that Wrath available, and Rapio, no Wrath for him, so Mr. Turtle does have the opportunity if he can get in, but there's no way he's going to be able to. Look at the damage that he's taking from those 2 physical damage dealers in Susano and Robin, and this Fire Giant is going to be basically free for Rival.
They are making sure that there is absolutely no chance that Mr. Turtle will be able to come on in with the belly bump and wrath down that Fire Giant. They take it very clean. All 5 members have it. They got the nice belt, and they're in no danger currently. eXcellence are not pushing the buttons.
With how much sustain Rival has, I'm just looking at all the items. They have one weakening curse. Does Excellence. No Divine Ruins, which 50 Meter Fly built third item last game. That didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. It would have made a ton of sense to me this game. This time doesn't do it. This time there's not a Brawler's Beat Stick. There's no Divine Ruins. There's only one weakening curse. There isn't even a Pestilence. Predators went for the Bulwark of Hope instead of Pestilence. Just the builds this game from Excellence definitely handicapping them in my opinion. Just not the right items for the right situation. That's something that you have to do at the top level of Smite. You have to make sure that you are building correctly for the situation. There isn't any sort of cookie cutter build that you can build every single game. There has to be adjustments available to you, and we haven't seen that of Excellence, and it's definitely hurting them.
I mean, you need that anti-heal, especially against Guan. You throw a Cupid into the mix. Even though he's not a healer, he's not a main healer, don't ignore the bombs. Predators and Rapio going toe-to-toe once again, gonna get a nice pull, but Predator's gonna get a little bit of a buff when he comes out, when he gets that low. Farleez able to take the gold free for himself, and Predators hit the Typhoon and then had to get out, using that Somersault Cloud to heal himself up a little bit, but that's keeping Rapio busy.
Keeping Rapio busy, definitely important, but at the same time, so is keeping Predators busy. He's on top of the damage charts for both teams, so Rapio keeping him on this right-hand side is really, really good for Rival, and you can see they're taking advantage of it on that left-hand side, immediately pushing down the tier 2 tower on the left-hand side, and Rapio with the solo.
Rapio going to be able to find the solo kill, but needs to rotate back over. The tier 2 tower has fallen from the left side. Now they're looking for the mid, able to take that down very quickly. The only tower that remains is the right side, the solo side. And already we've seen lots of damage coming out from the Soul. Farleez forced to go ahead and take the safe route to get back and heal.
Farleez almost died there, and there's the poke that we were talking about. It's not poke anymore, it's just straight up burst damage. Looking at the middle Phoenix now, 50 Meter Fly stunned out, and there's the burst damage. Despite that tanky build that he went, still gonna be in a ton of trouble. Rapio getting him low, and Gnome stomping him down with the Mystic Rush.
Gnome with the Mystic Rush. Zenborne taking out Turtle. Maloaise was a target, but instead they're just gonna keep going at this point. We have 3 people on the Titan. It's already falling very quickly and just taking so much damage. Maloaise trying to lessen the carnage that is happening in this Titan room, but with the Supernova, with Rapio taking out Farleez, there's nothing they could really do at that point. 34 minutes in, and that's going to be another game for Rival.
That whole game turned around as soon as Dvizes started doing damage. I mean, it was all Excellence. It was really close, but it was Excellence starting to squeak out, and then Dvizes has a big fight where he immediately deletes Zeus by their red buff, and all of a sudden, it's all Rival all the time. We saw the damage being really, really relevant in that late game for Dvizes on Soul. Once he was getting into the groove, it took him a game and a half, but he eventually got there and made it a lot easier for Rival to secure this 2-0, and they're secure for the first seed at LAN already.
Yeah, they have 19 points. They are sitting nice, fat, and happy, completely secure, doing a fantastic job of keeping toe-to-toe with Excellence. And Excellence did a really good job, despite the fact that Rival I mean, they kept them on their toes, despite the fact that they had the sub.
I mean, Excellence, you know, you're in 3rd place. You still are trying to get everything together. You did make a change in the jungle that we didn't really talk about a whole. Oh no, that's Cyclone. I'm sorry. Yeah. Completely. I was already thinking to the next set. But yeah, overall, the jungler for Rival still Rapio didn't have his mid laner, didn't have Watson, but still able to really dictate the pace of both of these games.
Wanted to make the plays for himself. In the first game, he played Ratatosker, and you can see coming around the corner, looking for 50 Meter Fly, who dished out so much damage. Taking out him, making him a priority was huge. And then he tries to get out, able to get the plays onto Maloaise by popping that Wrath to get the stun.
That was really hot. The 2v1 on the left-hand side with almost no HP. And here, this is just him being Susano, being as mobile as possible, displacing people with the Wind Siphon, and just doing whatever he can to make sure that characters like Kuang are always at low HP. You don't want to let Kuang come in with a blink, you know, sitting at full HP, and using that poke that Susano does so well to great event.
I mean, very solid games coming out from both. Do you have any final thoughts?
Rival is way better than anyone in Europe right now.
They're very secure, very concrete, but we have another game coming at you here in just a second. Retribution versus Cyclone GG. We're going to bring that to you here in just a second. Stay tuned.